Okay, we're ready to put on our last color on the Eaton wheel, and it goes right here, and it is red violet. So let's go ahead and bring this red violet over that we mixed up earlier and make sure that it's homogenized really well. And I want to move it up so I have a little bit more room. And let's go ahead and bring some white over, and I'll bring the whole pile and go ahead and mix it up with what's on the palette so I don't waste any of that awesome paint. It's still drying out in here, so let's go ahead and give it a little squirt down. And it's a good beginning. I feel like that's down here somewhere. I'll leave some up here. Get some myself I have been having a little bit of allergies, so I get the sniffles. I'm sorry. Red violet's a pretty color. Again, I want to homogenize it really well, and I don't want to leave any paint on my palette knife that hasn't been mixed up. Try to keep it all in a smaller-ish pile. And take some of this, put it over here, spread it out, and then I'll probably add some to this because that feels very winey compared to this. And even some more. Homogenizing it down. Let's go ahead and make a pile here. I can put some of that in it. I can put some of that in it. And see what that takes us to. That's a little bit darker than on my number one. I think I have enough paint in my number one slot, so I'm not going to add any, but I'll put some over here and I'll add this to it. Again, if I had to take down that whole gigantic pile, I would be using a lot of white. Take it down some more. And what's left in reserve, I can have for my third one. My third tint. So these feel kind of close and these feel kind of far, so I'm going to go ahead and bring some of this down to that. I could also use that pile because that was about the same. And I'm going to take this and put it over here, and I'm going to take this and mix it in with that. But then I lost my mother color, and I want to get some back. Make sure my palette knife is nice and clean. And bring some over here and spread it out so I can see the jump. And I still feel like this is a big jump between these two. So I'm going to take some of this off and put it over here again. And mix that in there. And see how that feels. And that feels good. This could go up just a little bit more. So I'll use what's on my palette knife. And I feel like there's an even jump between these guys. They go pretty light, but I'm going to mix a little bit of this in here. See if I don't need to get out any more white. And I'll mix some of this in here. And see how this color is different from this one. Put it on top. It's a little bit darker. And I think I'll make it a little bit darker. So I'll use that so it doesn't go to waste. And what do you think of that jump? I still feel like this is a little bit of a big jump, so I'm going to go ahead and mix this into that. I need a little bit more paint, so I'm going to go ahead and steal some, and I'm going to clean my palette knife and take some of this over. And I feel like that's a much better jump. Yeah, that looks good to me. This is a little far away. Yeah, I think it's good. I think if I keep it there, I'll be happy. So I'm going to clean this up. As best I can. I did clean my water, as you noticed. My water came back nice and clean. I'm going to move it off to the side a little bit. See how clean that is? We can see through it. Okay. And then I'm going to bring my palette, my eating wheel over. I'm going to mask out the areas I don't want to splatter and get stuff on. Make sure my paper towels are nice and clean and dry. And let's go ahead and start a painting. I'm going to start with my shade number 3 and see if I can bring this over into view for you guys. A little bit off the camera still. There we go. And again, I will need probably 2 coats. This is a dark color still. And so I'll put 1 coat on, and I'll maybe put 2 coats on while you guys are watching. Or I'll take a photograph of it after and show you at the very end. Or, better yet, I'll try to put a really thick coat on so it will be called finished when I get done with putting this on now. Okay. Tip number 2. Again, such a pretty color. I do like red violet. Sometimes. Sometimes I don't. Have to find something else in my studio to paint with this color because I have a lot left over. I made a really big amount. But I got lots of things to paint. I'm putting it on thick enough for this coat that by the time we get the blue violet, the shades of red violet done, we can see if it needs any more. Okay, here's our last tint of red violet. I like getting a lot of paint on here and then kind of spreading it around. Sometimes I do that for painting floors, is that I put a whole bunch and then just spread it around. I don't think it works for walls because gravity has a big effect. Alrighty. And now for our mother color. And remember, I am using zinc white, so I'm not taking it down very far into my tints. The next color wheel I do, it will be using titanium light white, and you'll be able to see the difference. Zinc white is much more transparent, so it doesn't mask the color. It makes it so that you can see through it, and you can have the brilliance of your colors stay. With titanium white, you're masking the colors, you're milking them out, and your brilliance factor goes down quite a bit. With paintings, you can usually tell beginner painters or amateur painters with the knowledge of the difference between the different whites. Whoops, I keep going over that way. Stop me! And there we have the mother color with its tints. And I'm going to go ahead and look at it real close and see if I need to put any more on, but I'm still going to save it in case when I dry it, it has some holes. Because a lot of times you can't really see it until it's dry. So I'm going to save these colors. And I don't know if these are adulterated, so I'm going to go ahead and put them over here too. Okay, and we're going to move this over and let it dry up a little bit while we mix our shades. Have a little bit of house cleaning first. A little bit of squeaking. And let's go ahead and mix our shades. Clean off my palette knife. So I'm not making a tone. Tone is black and white mixed together in a color. Okay. So here we go. Even though red violet is not as dark as violet or blue violet, it will still go down to black, probably. I'm going to start off with a pile and see which direction I go. Do I go lighter or less black? Which I do. And I got a little black in there, so I'm going to take all of that off. Go ahead and mix up our first jump down, and I want to take some of the mother color and put it over here so I can see where I'm jumping from, and then go ahead and mix this up and put it right next to each other and say, you know, that's pretty good. I kind of like that little jump. And then let's go ahead and see if we can get another little jump. All this mixing, it does get me in my wrists. So when you're done, do some wrist exercises to keep your wrists from being unhappy with you. I don't have very much paint on here, and that one went down very low, so I might go ahead and add some more back to it, add some more red to it. And because it's going to be a lot lighter, I might even match this one. So I'll put some of the paint in there. And I'll get some more black in this one. We're drying up again. Oop. And how's that look to you guys? As I turn my head all different directions to try to not get a glare, I feel like that's pretty good. See if I can see this a little better. When I sprayed it, it put spots on the top, so I can't see it. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with that. I'm going to make sure I have a little bit left in case I run out of paint, that I can mix some more. I can mix more of that, and I can mix more of everything else too. So let's clean up our area here, and let's cross our fingers that we got enough paint. And I'm going to move this out of the way too, so I can get closer to this, can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's go get that color wheel, and we'll cover up some areas and move that palette knife. Bring it on over, and let's start some painting. I'll start with this one. And right away I feel like I might have to mix up some more of my first shade of red violet, because I'm seeing the paper through quite a bit, because it is a very dark color. But that wouldn't be too hard. So the paper I'm painting this on is a chrome coat paper. It's got a clay coating that's been baked onto it, and it's got, I don't know if you can see very well, but it's got a little bit of a shiny surface, and that surface is the baked on clay, and it's a nice paper to work with. It's a little bit brittle because it, like I said, it is clay on there, and with that brittleness of the clay, it also absorbs the moisture from the paint, and so it won't leave it as shiny. If you like it shiny, you can always give it a coat at the end on top. And look at that. I think I made it in one coat. I have a little bit left. Go ahead with shade number 2, which I've got a ton of. 2 tons. When I spread it out nice and thin on here, and you can see the white through the paper, you can see the color a little bit more, but because it's a shade of violet, one of our violet family, it's gonna dry basically to looking like black or near black. Which is the nature of the darkest side of the color wheel. And there we have it. So I am going to double check that I have thick enough paint on here. This was my mother color, and it looks like I got a drip of water, so I'm going to definitely put some more on there. Let's double check our first tint down, and I have that hiding over here. I'm gonna have a little bit more on here. Bring it over so you guys can see a little bit more. I think there's a wonderful meditation in paint and painting. You know, you kind of go through the motions, but your mind is concentrating and free, and you can basically just meditate on the motions of what you're doing. And there we have it. So the only color that I feel like I might need a little bit more of is this one. I want to make sure that this is the same color. I'll put it right next to it. And it looks a little bit different, so I might mix up just a little bit more of that. Be a little tricky. And the trick to making sure that you're getting it is to make enough paint to paint the whole section, if that makes sense. And that next to that. If not, I wouldn't touch it, because touching it might mess it up, and it's not too bad. It's just a little bad. So I add this paint to it. I want to add it very lightly to the whole surface. And there we go. And that, my friends, is my Eaton color wheel. And it's happily finished. So let this dry up, and I will cut off these excess pieces, and I will put probably a coat of shiny paint over it, and we will call it finished. All right, I will see you next time. Bye.